Hello guys, welcome to MATLAB training. So we will be seeing today for loop, and in that for loop we will explain with examples how to use it from beginning to end. We'll be discussing some of the programs using nested for loop also, and how for loop can be built for two-dimensional array, three-dimensional array very easily. How you can make it vectored operations also, so that you can reduce the number of for loops. So first of all, we will try to understand what is the syntax for loop. So what you have to do in MATLAB is you have to utilize for, and suppose some indices value I is equal to 1 is to 10. So basically you are trying to go from 1 to 10, and then you can put, like suppose there is a value x which is going to be equal to x into x. So basically you are trying to find out x square. So you can put one like x1 is equal to x into x. So x square, and then what you can do is you can store this value also. So suppose, basically whatever operations you want you can do, and the syntax will be int. So basically for starts with a loop statement here and a int keyword here, and basically you can start with x is equal to 10. So what will be the outputs? So x1 will become 10 into 10 is 100. Next time again for I equal to 2, then what will happen? X1 will be 10 into 10, 100. So like that it will keep on happening. Got it? Or otherwise you could have done one more thing is x1 is equal to a empty array, and this is how you can proceed. So for each x value 10, 10, 10, it will keep on adding this. So let's see in program how we can start with. So what I am going to do is, I am going to start with a value x is equal to 10, and then for any variable you can take up, and you have to put the statement up to how many loops you want to go. X is equal, I equal to 1 is to 10, and then what I want is, I want to put x1 vector and store the value of x square, right? So what I will do is x into x. Okay, so x1 will be stored, and then int. So that's it. This is the thing that is there with your full for loop. Okay, so let's run and see what it happens. So you can see that x1 will be having 100 value. Now if you remove this, it will print 10 times. So see, 100, 100, each time 100, 100 is coming. Now our aim was to understand that x1, if I would have started with a empty array, then this x1 would have stored all these values together. So now if you see, my x1 will be a value of 10. So what you can do is, xi means each indices of x1, it will keep x square. So what you can do is, you can understand something like this. So you just start x1, so all these values are present here. One more thing what you can do is, suppose you want to make a table of like 3. So what you can do? 3 into I you can do all the time. So 3 into I. So what will happen? This x1 vector will be storing 3 into I is 3, 3 into 2 is 6, 3 into 3 is 9. So like that, for each value of I increment, it will keep on appending the values of x1. So see, x1 will be 3, 6, 9, 12 like that. Okay, so this is how a simple for loop statement that you have understood. Let's take some more examples. So what I have done is I have taken a vector A which is of these elements 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 80 and 120. Our aim is to sum all these elements. So there is a MATLAB built-in function which is sum is equal to sum. I have taken one variable and sum is A. So it will add this and it will give you the result. So sum is equal to 400. Now our aim is to utilize for loop to find the sum of these array elements. So what I will do is, I will find the length of elements, length of all this array vector. So that is n. So it will try to count the number of elements in this array. Now I have started a variable sum2 which is equal to 0, and then our aim is to go to for loop from first element to last element up to n, right? So it will start with what? Basically what I am going to do is, a suppose is 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, 8, right? So n is equal to length of a. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So n will become 6. Now for I is equal to 1 is to n, I am going. So 1 is to 6. And sum 2 is equal to sum 2 plus a of I. So what it will do? What it will do is, sum 2 was initialized as 0. So this sum 2 will be updated with a value 0 plus a1. So a1 is 2. So that will become 2. Next time I will go to 2. So sum 2 is already 2 now. Now it will become 2 plus a of 2 is 3. So 3. So that will become 5. So total sum 2 has become 5 up to these two elements. Similarly, I will keep on increasing and it will keep on going up to last value 6th element. The same way here also it is doing. Sum 2 is equal to sum 2 plus ai. This sum 2 you can write any variable name, that's up to you. And then at last I am going to display this. So each time I have suppressed the value of display, so last I can display the value. So sum 2 will be 400 as it was expected. Alright. So if you change the values, like suppose I make it 100, so what it will do? It will increase by 50. Or you make it 200, it will increase by 630. If increase the number of elements, so what it will do? It will add that also. So basically this is a very good practice to find the length of all the elements and then add them up inside a for loop. Otherwise what will you do is, you'll count the number of elements 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and if you write here n is equal to 8, then also it will give you result 930, right? Now the problem is, if you remove one element, then also it will have a problem, because what it is telling is array exceeds the bound, because n is 8 and 8th element is not there here. So this is the problem. So that's why it is not a good practice to write a constant value of n. You have to always find the length of element. So this is how you have compared with the built-in function and with this result. So both of these results, sum 1 and sum 2, both will give you same result. See, 930, 930. Okay. Let's take another example. So what I am going to do is, I have here a value m is equal to 10, and I am going to initialize a p vector which is zeros of 1 comma m. It means what? Like I have m is equal to 10 and p of zeros 1 comma m. It means 1 comma 10. It means what? 1 row 10 columns. So basically I will have a vector p which will be 0 0 0 0 up to 10 times. Okay. Next what I am going to do is, I am going to start I is equal to 1 is to m. Now you can go this step, by default it takes one value, you can go up to like 2 also, 3 also. So whatever step size you want, you can take it. So right now I will keep by default 1. And then what I am going to do is, I am going to put a vector k which will be I into I. So basically for each value of I, there will be a I square which will be assigned to k. Now instead of changing the value of k each time, I can store another time which will be pi, which will become I into I. So this I square will be stored inside p vector, and then you can run this. So you will get p vector which will be I square values up to 100. Alright. So what is the advantage is, suppose you want up to 100 and you want all these squares, like 1 square, 2 square up to 100 square. Then what will happen? You can just directly run it and your p vector will be having up to 100 square. Okay, so like this, see all these squares are got it. Now suppose you don't want this much, you want up to 20, and you want not continuously in a step of 2s. So this k is not needed, I can just remove this, only pi I will keep it. So what will happen is, I'll just put it here p. So let's see now what is going to happen. P, so what it has done is 1, 9, 25, 49, 81, like I mean 7 square, 9 square, 11 square, like that it has do it. But what is the mistake that I have made here is, for each value of I am keeping it. So P1 was fine, then P3 became. So P3, but P2 is not there. So P2 has defined it 0. So what I can do here is, instead of defining 20 values of P, like I have by default initialized a vector P which is of size 20, but I have to store only 10 values or 9 values. So in that cases, what I can do is, P is equal to a empty array I will take, okay, and whenever I is coming, that it will take up. So what I will do is, P is equal to I square, and I can do one more thing is, P comma I square. So P will be taken P and comma I square will be appended. So if you see, then you will get it. See 1, 9, 25, 49. So 1 square, 3 square, 5 square, 49 square, all these are keep on coming. It's up to you, like how do you make it happen. Okay. So this is how for loop works, and this is very very easy. Like if you want to take 3 steps, you will get it 3 steps. You see P, you will get it 1, then 3 if you add, I has become 3 plus 1 is 4, so 4 square, then 4 plus 3 is 7 square. So like that it is keep on going. Alright. Next what we will do is, we will try to run an infinite loop. Let's see how to make an infinite loop. So basically you can do one thing is I is equal to 1 is to infinity, so this makes it infinite loop, and then k is equal to, I have put I square, so it is keep on putting I square, I square, I square. Okay, like 1 square, 2 square, 3 square, 4 square, 5 square. So this k value will be keep on updating with I square values. Now the problem is, up to what value it should go, so there is no condition. So see, the MATLAB will give you an option which will show what is the thing that happens. So since I have like displayed all these values, so it is taking quite lot of time to stop. So what I will do is, for now I will stop by default. So I have terminated. So just press Ctrl C to terminate the operation by user. So see, operation terminated by user during for loop. So for loop is the name of the project, and it is terminated by the user. Okay. Now what I want is, if I suppress this, then it will tell that too many for loop iterations and stopping after these many number of iterations. Okay. So if you see k, so it will give you a k value, but since it is busy, so it cannot display that value. But the thing is, it has stopped after these many operations. So instead of running a infinite loop like this, what we can do always is, we can give a condition. What condition I am going to give? That if k is less than 10, so I square means 1 square, 2 square, 3 square, 4 square, it will keep on going on. So if the k value which is assigned I square is less than 10, then only you apply, pi is equal to I square. Okay. Otherwise break it. So even if it is put infinite loop, it will break based on this condition. So let's see what happens. So if you see P, so P is gone up to 1, 4, 9, then like 1 square, 2 square, 3 square, Then see, actually I have not removed this p from previous vector, so I should have put clear all, and then p value would have been removed. Okay, and then if you see p, so it is just up to p1 and then 2 square and 3 square. Since I is equal to 4 becomes 16, and with 16 k is equal to 16 is not less than 10, so it is not taking more than 9 value. Okay, so this is how you can introduce a condition and you can terminate your infinite loop. If you put 100, so it will go up to 9 square. So if you see, so p is equal to 9 square, it is going. Got it? So this is how you can terminate a infinite for loop by giving a condition inside that. Let's take another example. So what I am going to do here is y is equal to zeros, 1 is to 10. So 10 values I have taken in y which are all zeros, and I is equal to 1 is to 10 I am going, and any vectors you want to like some algebraic expressions or something you want to store inside a function, so you can very easily do that using for loop. There are many other methods also, but right now I am teaching you for loop. So what I am going to do is x square plus 2x plus 3. So suppose this is the value that you want to store for continuous value of x is equal to 1, 2, 3, 4 up to like suppose 10. So for x equal to 1, what is your corresponding value of y? What is your corresponding value of y for 2? So like that if you want to do, it's very easy using for loop to understand like how this behaves. You can put it like this. So I has become 1, it is going to be I square 2i plus 3. So like that it will keep on storing, and yi will keep on showing that value. So if you see, x was 1 is to 10, sorry, y is 10 values having these all 10 values. Okay, for each value of I, like I is equal to 1, 2, 3 up to 10. It is very easy also to like find these values using one line vector. Like suppose y is equal to this, and you start here I is equal to 1 is to 10. So for each value of I, what it will do is it will assign value of y. So you have to use dot operator for that. So first value will be squared and then 2y plus 3. It will keep on giving you. So if you see, the y value last one will give you the same value as previous one. Okay, so see, these values and these values are matching. If you want to compare this, you can put y1, so that y1 will be not matching with this y, and we can compare both of these two values. So y, which was calculated from for loop, and y1, which is calculated vectorially, so both are exactly same. Got it? But for loop is not recommended, since it takes lot of time to go through the loop one by one, and this is vector operation, direct operation, so it is suggested. Same way, just now I taught you like how to find the sum of an array. So this is a row array, and I am going to use using built-in function sum a, and then using for loop. So I can find 1 is to n. Earlier I had taught you, here you can put directly length of a. So whatever the length of this array element is there, that will be taken, and then ai will be keep on adding in sum 1. But you have to make sure one thing is sum 1 is initialized with some value 0. If you do not initialize, then it will give some error. So let's see if you do not initialize. So what it gives? So see, sum 1 is not defined, right? So you cannot add in sum 1 without defining it. So if you see this, it will give you sum. So since I had not displayed the last element, so it is giving you this thing. So you can just see sum 1 is 1575. Okay. Now let's talk about nested loop. So nested loop is very useful when it comes to 2D things. So what is going to happen here is, I am going to initialize two values, m is equal to 3 and n is equal to 3. Okay. So basically I'm going to make 3 cross 3 matrix. So for I is equal to 1 is to m and j is equal to 1 is to n, and k is going to be, or leave it, k will not put, p is equal p I of j, I comma j is equal to I into j. So basically what is going to happen is, there is a element for I is equal to 1 is to 3, and then for j is equal to 1 is to 3, and then p I comma j. So basically I right now is 1, j is equal to 1. So p1 comma 1 will be put, which is going to be I into j, right? So 1 into 1 will be stored in p11. Then what will happen is, this j loop will continue completely up to 3. So basically you will get p1 comma 1, 1 comma 2 and p1 comma 3. Then next it will go to I, which will become 2. So I has become 2, then you will get p of 2 comma 1, then 2 comma 2 and then 2 comma 3. So like that you keep on getting. So this is how you will get up to 9 elements. So like p 3 comma 1, 3 comma 2, 3 comma 3 also you will get. So this is how, and then if you see display p will come up. So since I have not removed this earlier p, so p was initialized with 10 elements. So right now I'll just clear here. So whenever you are using a new function, new project, then you clear the previous variables, otherwise it will store the previous values. So see, display p has given you only 3 cross 3 matrix. Okay. Now let's talk about how we can add the elements of a matrix using for loop. Using normal method, it is always there, like built-in functions are there, but using for loop, how we can understand that, we will try to find it out. So I have a matrix A, which is 3 cross 3 elements matrix. Okay, so I'll just display this element. Next, sum1 I have put it 0, like I have initialized a variable sum1 where I will be like storing the summation of all these elements of a matrix A. Then I am going to find out I is equal to 1 is to m, j is equal to 1 is to n. So basically m and n are the size of matrix. M comma n is equal to size of A. So the size of A will be stored in m and n variable, and now it will go row wise, and then for each row there will be each column that will be added. So Aij will be added each time, and then if you see, so you will get printf sum of array is sum1, and if you want you can display using your built-in function also. So first it will try to add sum A, so it will try to add all the columns, and then again if you sum, then all these columns will be again added and give you the answer. So see, the sum of array which was found by sum1, which was for loop, was 45, and sum of sum is also 45. So alright guys, hope you understood completely the for loop, and I understand that you have enjoyed this video, and if you think that it is good, you like and subscribe our channel. Thank you so much. Bye.